Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program with myself, Martin Blackham, and with my wife, Natalie Blackham. Great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us today with a program that looks at Israel. We look at the news, we look behind the news, and we do a newspaper review. If you've seen the program before, you might be aware of that. And in the Jerusalem Post, this is hot off the press, but bear in mind that this is when we come into the studio. This is the picture there, and you can see there's a protest. It says, after off-duty cop shoots Ethiopian Israeli, police call for restraint. After off-duty policeman shoots an Ethiopian Israeli, the police have asked that the blocking of roads and things would be restrained. Thousands had protested across Israel, blocking roads, angered by the killing of Ethiopian teenager Solomon Tekar by an off-duty policeman. At least 47 Israeli police officers were also wounded in the protests, and 136 arrested in the violence. Israeli Prime Minister called on the masses to stop blockading roads. And certainly this is something very important because, you know, Israel's road system can be very quickly brought to a halt. But not being a very big country with huge choice of roads, Natalie.
Sometimes you don't have a detour. It's like it's the road where you are and you can't go somewhere else.
Right. And, there were a number of incidents in which people were stuck in traffic and had to call for emergency services. But what happened was the protesters were enraged by the killing of Solomon Tekar and it said thousands of protesters from the Ethiopian Israeli community and others took to major roads and junctions to protest the excessive police force, in their opinion, directed at the community. And the country was brought to a standstill with some of the biggest highways, such as the Trans-Israel Highway and Route 4, the Coastal Road, and Tel Aviv's Ayalon Highway, all suffering closures in part, leading to massive traffic jams around the country. Now, what is so interesting about this story is that, we've talked about this before, because Israel as a nation was building itself, was becoming a nation, and had enemies at the borders, that the internal work to build the communities together, to integrate the communities, has been going on, but it hasn't been at the same speed as the international work that's been done. And we had Rabbi Dov Lippman, who was a member of Knesset, come in and talk about this, that his emphasis is that Israel needs to start to build together the different Jewish communities who've come from all over the world and integrate them into Jewish society.
But now Israel is all the people are coming back from all the nations in one little place. So suddenly you have a lot of different background and they have to find again the way how to be together. So obviously there is conflict. I saw Mr. Rivlin, the president of Israel, he really spoke very nicely to the people saying, come on, we need to solve these things by speaking and not by violence. He's a very good president. He's very close to the people. So hopefully, it's a conflict that's happening because there is the Ethiopians community is not always, the Ethiopian community has a very different background. They say also about the color, but I don't know. But it's like there is a lot of things and they come from Ethiopia and they had, it was over there, like when they arrived at the beginning, they didn't know what was a dishwasher or even a washing machine. So there was a lot of different, they had to learn a new way of life, and it's still there. It's like you can see,
yeah.
Israel is a country of so much immigration that it takes a while after and some generation for the country to work together. It was like that right at the beginning. You know, I'm just reading a book about Eliezer Ben Yehuda. So he arrived in 1881. I think in one of the programs I said 1981. Obviously, it wasn't that. It was 1881. And the same, it was the same for him. When he arrived there, there was some German Jews, there was some Sephardic Jews, and they were coming from all around. And even there, at that time, there was community here and community there. And just think that they weren't even speaking the Hebrew language at that time. So some were speaking Yiddish, some were speaking Latino, and all these kind of things. So Israel is a new nation, so she has problem of a new nation.
And this is something which may have been boiling in the community, or some people say it was outside provocation and things like that. But it's certainly something that needs addressing, and that the government is addressing. And maybe, whilst very sad circumstances, maybe in the long term it will help to bring some resolution in the situation. And sometimes these things need to be solved. This is a community which they've moved from Africa to come and live, in the land of Israel, and have had to have, like you say, they've had huge changes, and so this is whilst it's very sad what's happened, it could well end up being very positive.
Yeah.
For Israel.
If they do it with dialogues and all of that. I was reading something also about an article, and people are saying that the police have been too strong too. So again, it's like there is things will have to change. So. And
one of the reasons, this is Jerusalem Post, and also I'm going to have a look at Haaretz. This is the headline. It says, "Fires ravage South for second day." And it's also featured in the other English-speaking newspaper, Haaretz, not one I'd recommend, but it's good to see both sides of both points of view. And this is the picture you can see. Gaza incendiary balloons start 17 fires in the south. Now, this is exactly what we were talking about, that because of the attacks from Israel's enemies, they've had to focus on protecting the nation and protecting the borders rather than having to build the communities inside Israel. And what happened was that for a second day, fires have ravaged the south of Israel. Close to 100 fires started by terrorists in the last 5 days, the Jerusalem Post says. Incendiary balloons from the Gaza Strip, they send balloons across with explosives, started firing kibbutz Mevo near the Gaza Strip border. 17 fires ravaged the south of Israel on Thursday, and as incendiary balloons continue to fly into Israel. There have been thousands of incendiary kites have been launched into Israel, and whilst many have been successfully shot down by the Israeli army, over 2,000 separate fires have been ignited, Natalie, inside the Israeli territory, resulting in over 35,000 dunams, approximately 8,500 acres, being burnt. This includes over 13,000 dunams of nature reserves, approximately 11,000 dunams of forestry, and explosive devices have landed in residential areas, including playgrounds and kindergartens, posing a serious risk to the lives of civilians.
And this is the second year. This is the problem. This is not the first year. They had these great, awful ideas last year to start these fires. And now is the second year that Israel has this trouble.
And one of the important things that you need to have in your memory or to know about is that arson is really a terror tactic. And it's not just through the balloons, but also fires have started all over Israel. And this has been something going on for many years, not just since Israel was a state. There have been attacks against Jews and moshavs and farms and by Arabs using arson. And there was indeed a whole community was burnt down, Natalie, near Jerusalem because of arson. And the peoples there are still without a home, as far as I know. And that's not so long ago. So arson is really a tactic used by terrorists against Israel. The other thing is that because it's in the Middle East, there's a lot of heat here, so things are combustible. Plus, Israel has been trying to grow trees. This has been a big thing because during the Turkish Ottoman time, the trees were removed by purpose, and it became a barren land.
Mm-hmm. Also during the British Mandate, because they were doing the train,
right?
And so they needed a lot of, all this beam for the train track. When you are speaking, you see about Mevo Modi'in, which has been totally destroyed, all the infrastructure, everything melted. It was terrible, and they know that it's arson. and two Levites have done something with some Christians, and the British for Peace have done things, and some other people, the Christian and the Jewish fellowship, they've done also something together. So it's beautiful to see people really helping, but it's very sad to know that it's arson. And we know a friend, Shuli Porno, he's a musician, and he lost 15 of his instruments, and he just had to run, and they had no time to save anything. And when they came back, that's it, everything was gone.
He lost his home.
Yeah.
He lost everything.
Everything.
And
his songs, you know, all the things that he had. And the computers, I know that British for Peace were giving computers to all the community, to every family, because they say if you want to rebuild, at least you need to have a computer. And the government said that they were going to help because of arson, but meanwhile, they've been in a place which
temporary housing, I think.
Yes, and which is not very easy. And not only that, it's the shock that you have of losing everything. Your paper, I mean, everything. So arson and this, when you are speaking, we are speaking like as news, but when you see the reality of the daily life for the people, it's very terrible.
Yeah, and one of the other issues that Israel has to face, and we were talking about the fires from Hamas in the south and arson attacks in central Israel, particularly during the summer when it's very hot. But one of the big stories has been the story headlines in the Jerusalem Post. It says Pompeo, who is I believe the Secretary of State in the United States, says Iran behind tanker attacks in the Gulf, that Iran has been attacking tankers. In this particular story, it was a coordinated attack on 2 tankers in the Gulf of Oman. The United States said limpet mines were spotted on one of the wrecked ships. The attack comes a month after 4 tankers were sabotaged off the United Arab Emirates and raises United States versus Iran tensions to their highest point in years. United States Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that the attack on the oil tankers was one on a list of Iranian-backed attacks over the last month and a clear threat to peace, security and freedom of navigation. Pompeo added that Iran's actions were disrupting world oil markets. So it's not just having a small effect. You know, you say, well, what's a tanker in the Middle East got to do with me? Well, it's affecting oil markets and disrupting the international community. And Pompeo has instructed the United States ambassador to the UN to bring this up. So, and this is very serious. And you say, well, Martin, why is it so serious for Israel, for Iran, for this tension between the United States and Iran? Well, that's because Iran is operating, and we've talked about this before, but Iran is operating in Syria, and a recent news story said that Syria says 4 killed as Israel hits targets in Homs and Damascus in a major strike. Syria says 4 killed as Israeli jets hit targets in Homs and Damascus. Damascus claims to have intercepted several incoming missiles fired from Lebanese airspace. Independent observers say Iran-linked bases targeted. No comment from the Israeli military. They don't usually comment on operations in Syria. Although there was recently, they did say that they've been doing a lot of operations, air attacks in Syria. Syria said Israeli jets attacked several military sites near the capital Damascus and the central city of Homs, allegedly killing 4 civilians. A British-based war monitor said Israel launched strikes both from air and sea, which is an amazing thing in itself, targeting Iranian-linked. This is where Iran comes in, folks. They were targeting Iran-linked bases inside Syria, where Iranian Revolutionary Guard forces are headquartered, together with a weapons research center, which doesn't sound very innocuous, but is actually chemical weapons. Mm-hmm. When you see the terrible pictures of civilians who've been attacked by chemical weapons in Syria. This is exactly what the Iranians are researching. And so this was the facility that allegedly the Israeli jets were targeting. So Iran is right on the border of Israel, and so that's why it's so important. These tanker attacks, these attacks by Iran against tankers, it's such a key. Because if there's a retribution by Iran, then Israel could well be the target. And so that's why it's so important. Now, one of the amazing things is that Christian Zionism is, we've had a whole program on that, and we do hope you've seen the Christian Zionist special. If you haven't, then do tune into our YouTube channel, where we will endeavor to get it up there. And in fact, you know that if you want to see, you've missed some programs, then do go to the YouTube channel. It's got you can catch up with programs, or you can send links to friends so they can see the program. So it's a tool for you to use. And Natalie and I also want to say thank you so much for your support. It's because of your support that we're able to come to you today. Thank you for those who are standing with us. It's because of you that we're here, and thank you for considering us for your donation. Now, Natalie's got an article. You've got an article on Christian Zionism, Natalie.
In the Jerusalem Post, it's written, "The sleeping giant of Christian Zionism has awoken," and so you can see the picture. And it's very interesting because yes, there is more and more Christian in the world who can really see that Israel is important. And because of that also, my book, Martin, is selling very nicely. And we spoke already about it. It's like, it's just about the Hebrew language. You see, people are starting to understand that Israel is important. And suddenly they understand that the Bible is important, and the Bible was written in Hebrew. And because it's written in Hebrew, people are really aware that is important, and all around the world. So it's in English, and now we did it also in French, and now we did it this year in German, and it's selling like little hot buns, and it's very good. German hot buns.
I think the expression is hot cakes, but hot buns might work too. So how can you're watching and they're saying, Natalie, how can they get hold of the German version or the French version or the English version? What's the best way for them to get hold of a copy?
Just you can go on our website and you can find it there. This is the easiest for when it's for an individual. You can buy. You can ask me if you want more than one, and we sell it onto like ICJ is selling it, CFI is selling it. Kufa is selling it in the UK, and so it's wonderful.
These are different organizations that work in Israel.
Christian who are standing with Israel. And this is, when you look at this picture, this is John Hagee, Pastor John Hagee, who is just who is the one who is in charge of Kufa, and he started 13 years ago, and there was only 400 people, and now there are 6 million.
Oh, now I see the links. So your book. So John Hagee's on the front of the paper, and they're selling your book. He's,
now in the UK, they're not selling it. Maybe I should ask in America if they wanted to, because people.
If you're from Kufa in America, then do contact Natalie.
Exactly. No, because it's like people start to see that Israel is important, but now they want more, and they discover that the Jewish people have a richness to understand the Torah. And so the Hebrew language is getting more and more important, and people are hungry for that.
And there's some, the amazing thing is being in Israel and coming back, we've just been away for a short break, but coming back to Israel, the amazing thing is the discoveries that are being made in Israel, absolutely amazing. And one of the most recent, this is the Jerusalem Post magazine, it says, "Unearthing the Pilgrimage Road." And you can see there are steps. This is the road in the city. It's actually located in the city of David. And it says, visitors to Jerusalem, city of David, will soon be able to walk the 2,000-year-old path millions of Jews took 3 times a year when ascending to the temple. Now, I think Natalie and I have either been on a bit of it, or they allowed journalists to visit it a few years ago.
Because it was the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but now they dig all the way, and now it's open.
Yeah.
So people are going to tour it, and it's like they are walking on the step that the pilgrim were doing for the second temple. So it's like, we speak and we say this year, we want to make the people more aware of what's happening with the Temple Mount, more aware of what's happening with the temple itself, that the Jewish people are starting more and more to speak about the red heifer, the high priest, like very specific things that they need to have for the temple. And it's happening. It's like there is a acceleration in all these things, and now it's in our newspaper.
And we've done a whole program again on YouTube. You can go and see that with Anna-Rina Heyman very kindly came into the studio from the City of David, telling us all about it, and you can get hold of that at the YouTube. There's also Facebook. Don't forget to go to Facebook. You can subscribe to the Israel First Facebook page, and that really helps us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, that helps us. And of course, supporting us financially, very, very important. You can go to the website. We have a donate page. It's on the last link on the right. You can use PayPal, or you can do a donation via the bank, whichever works. If you've got any difficulties at all supporting us, or you'd like to support us, then do contact us at info@israelfirst.org. Now,
and also tell us what you think about the program, because it's always good for us, to have a connection with you and where you are watching, because there is people from all around the world, and people from India, from America, from Australia, from Africa. So it's always nice you can just put something on the Facebook or just on our info email, so it would be good.
This month it's had the record, it's had a record number of tourists coming.
Again
and again, and it's got you can not just visit Israel from Ben Gurion, but there's a new airport now at
near Eilat.
Right near Eilat. There's
Ramon.
a brand new Ramon airport. We talked about that before, where you can come to visit, and fantastic with the desert around you, and amazing. And you're not far. There's a bus service straight from the airport to Eilat, and you're there next to the Red Sea and all the fantastic sites there. So, just an amazing time that we can live in, that we can come to Israel and see all these things, that you can come here because of the miracle of air transport, that you can come to visit Israel, and just absolutely amazing, Natalie. So thank you so much for joining us today for this special Israel First update, and we'll be right back after this.
Shalom, dear friends. Wonderful to be with you today in this beautiful land of Israel. Now, today we are going to look at the name of Amalek, the importance of it, and start to have a bit of understanding of it. Okay. Now we are in Exodus 17. The people are with Moses. They are in the desert. They just went out of Egypt. Amazing miracle. They passed the Red Sea, and suddenly what happened? Amalek come and fight them. Now why and who is this Amalek? Amalek is the grandson of Esau. Esau was the brother of Jacob, but suddenly he comes to make war with them. Why is that? Very important to know. Now we read also, it was written in verse 14. The Lord said to Moses, write this for a memorial, so you have to remember, in the book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. Now you have to remember, Joshua is going to take the place of Moses, is going to be the leader. So he has to remember that. And he said that God speak, for I will utterly block out the remembrance of Amalek under heaven. Okay, so is God speaking, saying, I'm going to make it like done, with Amalek. And the next verse, in verse 15, you read Moses to say that Adonai is his banner or his miracle, Adonai Nissi. He built an altar and he prayed to God. And so he's trusting God. And Nissi, when I say, is like Nes is a miracle. Nisi means is my miracle. So he was trusting in God. Now, do you remember in Hebrew, the name have also a number. So when you look at the name of Amalek, it's 240. Let us look. You have the Ain is 70, the Mem is 40, the Kaf is 100, so it's 240. Okay? So there is another name which is called Safek, who has exactly the same number, 240, and the name is doubt. You see that Amalek bring doubt. And the thing that Moses do, the opposite, is trusting in God, because he wants to come into the promised land. And Amalek is trying to say, no, well, I do not want you to go into the promised land. So this is one of the words of Amalek, the understanding behind the name of Amalek. Isn't it amazing to understand these things? It's important. We want to go into the promised land, and sometimes we have things against us, and it's the spirit of Amalek. And we need to fight it to come into our promised land. It's very important. See you next week. Bye.
It's been great to be with you today. Really enjoyed being with Natalie. Normally we have guests, so it's normally one of us, so great to be together to talk to our friends. Don't forget, it's because of your support that we're able to do this program. Please consider helping us financially. That really does make a difference. And your support will help us with the studio, with the costs, and we really appreciate that. If you'd like to email us, we did talk about this, that you can email us and talk to us. You can contact us at info@israelfirst.org. Visit the website www.israelfirst.org. And remember, we're the program that looks at the land, the people, and the language.